Hello, it's ShadeX, and Rugrats the show I really loved growing up. However, I've never properly talked about it on this channel. The show featured the babies Tommy, Chuckie, Phil, and Lil going on imaginary adventures together. They also had a rivalry with Angelica, a mean little girl who had the ability to talk to the babies. Rugrats was Nickelodeon's first massive hit before SpongeBob was a thing. Not only did it go on for 9 seasons, but it had a sequel series called All Grown Up, showing the babies in their teenage years. Rugrats is clearly still on Nickelodeon's mind to this day, as there is now a CGI reboot on Paramount+. But rather than talk about that show, I'll instead talk about the 3 theatrical films based on the original series. I remember these Rugrats films were a big deal back in the day. I have fond memories of watching Rugrats in Paris and Rugrats Go Wild in theaters. These theatrical films prove that cartoons had the ability to transcend television. Following the first film, Disney tried to copy that success, but they weren't too successful. Like a Recess movie, sure, that's fine. But Teacher's Pet the movie? Who asked for that? I mean, I'm not mad, but seriously, who asked for that? Films based on cartoons were a very interesting trend. While that trend didn't last too long, Rugrats definitely started it. So I figured I'd take a look back at all 3 of these Rugrats movies and see whether or not they hold up.
See? They already love each other.
I have a little brother now, and that's a big change. Dill can be pretty tough to get along with, huh? But sometimes little brothers, they aren't everything you'd hope they'd be. That's why big brothers have got to have faith. And one day, you'll see. Change. After all, you've got responsibility now.
Rugrats the movie is a really fun watch. The movie is very interesting because it introduces a new character in the form of Dill, Tommy's younger brother. Not only that, but this movie has a somewhat dark tone. This is a cartoon about babies and they are in their first movie, so what is it about? Well, the babies get lost in the woods and there are crazy monkeys and a wolf on the loose. Not only that, but Tommy almost kills his little brother by covering him in banana baby food so that the monkeys will eat him. Do it, Tommy. Then the new seasons won't suck.
Finish him!
But jokes aside, this is a good film. The film starts with an Indiana Jones parody where it's revealed at the end that the boulder behind them is actually Tommy's pregnant mom, Dee Dee. It's then revealed that a baby shower is taking place. And yes, in this movie, this joke gets said.
Ollie, riding high, it's a guy.
Well, you know what they say. Born under Venus, look for a... Hello?
At the beginning of the film, everyone believes Tommy will get a baby sister. It's believed to be true to the point where the room Tommy will share with his sibling is half-colored pink. Dee Dee then realizes the baby is coming sooner than expected and the babies and parents go to the hospital. Anyway, after a musical number sung by babies at the hospital, Tommy finally gets to meet Dill, his new baby brother. And guess what? Dill can't talk. I mean, he can, kinda, but not in full sentences like the other babies. Honestly, this is the biggest issue I have with Dill's character in the original Rugrats series. It's odd because all the other newborn babies are able to sing a whole musical number. Meanwhile, Dill can barely talk, but honestly, I kind of get what the writers are going for here. It seems that Dill exists in the show and this movie to act as someone more vulnerable who Tommy has to take care of as an older brother. Still, in a show where there's the gimmick of talking babies, it's kind of weird that there's one who can barely talk. Anyway, Dill and Tommy don't get along at the start. Tommy feels sad that his parents aren't paying attention to him anymore. He also doesn't like that Dill won't share toys with him. However, Stu, noticing this, takes Tommy aside and gives him a pocket watch to symbolize his newfound responsibility as an older brother. Also in this scene, Stu glimpses at a photo of him and his brother Drew as kids. At the start of the film, Stu and Drew argue with each other. Despite not completely getting along though, Tommy's father clearly still cares for his older brother. It's very clear in this film that the relationships of both sets of brothers mirror each other. Anyway, Tommy gets the pocket watch, but believes it's called a sponsitility. After Tommy gets back, Phil and Lil put Dill in the Reptar-mobile, where they plan to bring him back to the hospital, which they call the baby store. All the babies end up inside the Reptar-mobile, which is being driven by Phil and Lil. The driving scene is set to an original song by Busta Rhymes, which was made specifically for the movie. The Reptar-mobile is even voiced by the rapper. On Your Marks, Get Set, Ready, Go is a great song, and I am glad it's in this movie. Anyway, Stu drives to find the babies, and they are right in front of him in a mattress truck, but he doesn't see them. The mattress truck then crashes in the forest, and the babies are lost there. While the babies are lost, the parents panic. It quickly makes the news. The parents end up going on the lookout for them. That is what the adults do for the whole film after the beginning. Angelica has a subplot as well in the story, which is about her going on the search for her doll Cynthia after she realizes Dill stole it. There are also the park ranger characters who believe the Reptar-mobile is a dragon. These subplots all interconnect by the end of the film, but the film at its core is about the babies trying to survive in the wilderness. That is the main focus. In the film, Tommy trusts his sponsitility, which he thinks is the name of the pocket watch that Stu gave him. Tommy, Chuckie, and Phil and Lil's goal in the film is to find their way home. They believe there is a wizard in a house in the forest that they can find, but Tommy mispronounces the word as lizard. They plan to make a wish to be transported away from the forest. However, along their journey, they run into antagonists. The first set of antagonists are the monkeys. They escape from a train earlier in the film that two men from the touring circus were not paying attention to. At first, the monkeys seem friendly. There's a whole part of the film where they play with the babies to the tune of The Witch Doctor. However, later they capture Dill after he gets covered in banana baby food. Tommy then sees a monkey in the Reptar-mobile, believing him to be Dill. He makes the decision to use the wish the wizard has for him and the babies to turn his brother back into a person. In this film, it's very clear that Tommy feels that he has a responsibility to care for his brother. He may not know what that word means, but he clearly cares for him. Anyway, he learns that the monkey was put there by the other babies who hoped he wouldn't notice. It is clear that Tommy has a strong desire to save his little bro, and he will even leave his friends after they denied helping him. Anyway, Tommy finds Dill and gets frustrated with him after he drinks all the milk and destroys a blanket they were sharing. This frustrates Tommy, who now doesn't want Dill to be his brother anymore. This leads to Tommy attempting to kill Dill by covering him in banana baby food. However, Tommy, seeing his little brother in fear, then has a change of heart. This is definitely the most memorable scene in the movie. It is not only a dark scene, but a very emotional one as well. Tommy realizes at that moment that his little brother is vulnerable and that he must protect him. After that moment, Tommy, now wearing his pocket watch, sings his own version of the lullaby his parents sang to Dill at the beginning of the film. The two are now finally getting along as brothers. Soon, Phil, Lil, and Chuckie show up and scare away the monkeys that were about to attack Tommy and Dill. Chuckie gets chased by the monkeys after carrying the banana baby food with him. Tommy then follows him since Chuckie is his best friend. Tommy saves him while riding on Spike. All the babies get in the Reptar-mobile. Dill is now appreciated by everyone. Angelica, who happened to finally find Cynthia, is about to fall off the bridge, but the babies save her. They are all set to go, but then the wolf is there. Spike and the wolf have a fight and they both fall. Sad, the babies and Angelica walk towards the building they believe is the wizard's house. Stu in a Dactar glider falls into the house. They believe he is the wizard. The kids then wish that Spike was back. Anyway, the movie has a happy ending. Spike is revealed to be alive. The kids are reunited with their parents. The monkeys are reunited with their owners. The film then ends with Dill playing a role in the baby's Indiana Jones fantasy, officially making him a member of the Rugrats. But yeah, Dill being a pointless character aside, this was a fine movie. I don't absolutely hate Dill, but him barely talking in a show where the gimmick is babies can talk is very odd. Thankfully, Dill got character development in All Grown Up, but it's a shame he never got any development in the original show post-movie. Anyway, the first Rugrats movie is very solid, and it was successful enough to warrant a sequel.
Oh, you like Chuckie Finster? Tell me then who was in Paris.
Why do you think the film Rugrats in Paris is called Rugrats in Paris? Cause Rugrats were in Paris.
Rugrats in Paris is a movie I watched in theaters when I was a kid. I really liked this movie growing up. The movie has a big focus on Chuckie Finster this time around. Shuri narrated the opening and ending of the first film, but Tommy and Dill were the main focus. In Paris is about Chuckie feeling sadness because of his lack of a mom. It is a very emotional yet fun movie, and this film is the one I was the most excited to revisit for this video. The film starts out with a parody of The Godfather Part 2, where Angelica plays the role of the Bob father. Tommy makes a wish to Angelica, hoping she can find Dill's binky. It is soon revealed that they are at a wedding. Angelica steals a binky from another baby and gives it to Dill, which makes Tommy and the other babies believe she can grant wishes. It turns out that this wedding is for Lou and his new wife, Lulu. Following that, a dance for mothers and their kids happens. Chuckie then realizes he wants to wish for a mom. However, Angelica tells him she can't help him with that. After feeling saddened watching other babies dance with their moms, Chuckie is then taken home by his dad. We then learn about Chuckie's mom, Melinda. When she was alive, she made Chuckie a teddy bear named Wawa. Throughout the film, Chuckie carries it with him. Because Lou remarried, the other adults suggest that Chaz get remarried as well. Stu makes Chaz his own dating website, and he gets quite a few messages. Chuckie and the other babies notice this, but aren't aware of what is going on until Angelica explains it to them. Chuckie then finds out he may get a new mommy, and that excites him. Then the big inciting incident for the film happens. A Reptar animatronic for a musical breaks down in France, which leads to Stu getting called to go to Paris to fix it since he designed it. After this, we get a musical number about the babies going to Paris. They then go on a plane and hijinks ensue. Soon, Chuckie's friends are taken away by their moms to get their diapers changed. Following that is one of the most emotional parts of this movie, where Chuckie looks in the window of the plane and remembers his mom. This is set to a sad song called I Want a Mom. This is a very memorable moment from the film. After that, the babies and their parents end up in Paris. Anyway, before I delve deeper into the main plot of the movie, I want to share a piece of trivia. Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men gained popularity because it was featured in this film. The song plays when Spike escapes the hotel. Anyway, Spike has a small subplot where he falls in love with a poodle. It's fine for what it is. The only thing notable about this subplot is that there is a Lady in the Tramp spaghetti scene spoof, but there's pizza in it instead. The Spike and poodle scenes are pretty short and they don't distract from the film at all. After arriving in Paris, the babies then end up in Euro Reptar Land. One big thing I noticed about this film is that while it does take place in France, it spends a big chunk of the film focusing on Asian culture. I find that aesthetic choice very interesting. The film came out in 2000, and the way Asian culture is depicted definitely comes off as stereotypical. Despite that, I really enjoy the film. While France is shown a bit, the Euro Reptarland theme park is the main focus. I really like Reptarland in the film as it is a very interesting location in this show's world. The theme park is managed by the main villain of the film named Madame Labouche. Alongside her is her henchman, Jean-Claude. Madame Labouche hates the babies, and that's pretty much her main trait in this film. She wants to climb the corporate ladder and become president of the company, but her boss tells her she must get married to get the job she wants. Anyway, Angelica ends up hiding in her office while eating chocolate after the babies are escorted out. Angelica overhears the conversation and then tells Labouche that Chaz Finster is single. In return, she hopes to get her own parade float with ponies. I really like Angelica's role in this film. Her role in the first was pretty small, but in this film she plays a much bigger role where she assists the antagonist. The goal Chuckie has in this film is to find a mom. After going to a parade, he decides that he wants the reptar-loving princess to be his mom. Also in the film, we are introduced to Madame Labouche's assistant Kira and her daughter Kimmy. Throughout the film, Kira and Chaz have a lot in common. Kira and Chaz both have a shared love for a poem about parenting. However, Chaz believes that Labouche knows it by heart since Kira fed her lines in order to impress him. It is really clear throughout the film that Chaz and Kira deserve each other. I was rooting against the film's villain and for the two single parents to end up together by the end of the film. Kira's daughter Kimmy is a new baby that is introduced in the film. She assists Chuckie and the other babies in finding the princess. Chuckie leaves a ride called Ooey Gooey World and attempts to visit the princess in a tower. He plans to open a door but sees a dragon and gets scared. The ninjas who work at the park then capture them and bring them back to the ride. Following that day, Chuckie has a dream of himself playing the role of a kung fu master. This is set to an original song called Here Comes Chuckie Chan. It's a really catchy song, and this is a fun dream sequence. The sequence portrays Chuckie as someone who is brave, a trait he wishes he had. Chuckie finally gets a chance to see the princess at the Reptar musical. Angelica accidentally lets it slip to Madame Labouche that Chuckie wants the princess to be his mom instead, which leads to her impersonating the princess in a play. Chuckie then approaches Madame Labouche, who pretends to care about Chuckie. However, her true nature shows when she pulls away Chuckie's teddy bear. Not knowing his son was fooled into thinking Labouche was the princess, Chaz is led to believe that his son likes her too. This convinces Chaz to marry her. The babies and Angelica then get captured, and it seems that the villainous Madame Labouche will marry Chaz. Angelica reveals she caused this whole mess and apologizes, but it seems everything is hopeless. However, Chuckie, who is now brave, decides to put a stop to the wedding, and this leads to the babies taking control over the Reptar mech. What follows is an epic action set piece that I loved seeing in theaters as a kid. I remember when I saw Jean-Claude and his robo-snail nearly defeat the Rugrats, I said in the theater something around the lines of, "Babies, don't let the bad guy win!" My dad had to quiet me so I wouldn't make a scene. But yeah, Rugrats in Paris is a very strong sequel. The babies went from riding a Reptar mobile in the first film to piloting a giant Reptar mech in the sequel. The babies successfully beat Jean-Claude and they foil the wedding plans of Madame Labouche. Chaz realizes that Kira and him have something in common, that being the parenting poem. Anyway, in the United States, the two get married. What follows is another scene featuring the Bob Father. The only difference is that Chuckie has the role of the Bob Father now. I really like this change in roles. Angelica isn't the one in charge anymore. Now Chuckie is. Anyway, this film has a very happy ending. Chuckie finally has a mom in his life named Kira. Chuckie also knows that Melinda is watching over him in heaven and states that he has two moms who care for him. Chuckie dances with Kira to the tune of the song that played during the first wedding. This scene is very heartwarming to watch. I really like how the movie went full circle by beginning and ending with a wedding. After that, the film ends with a cake fight, which is started by the babies and continued by the adults. Overall, Rugrats in Paris is a very great sequel. It's an emotional yet fun adventure about Chuckie searching for a mother figure in his life. I really love Rugrats in Paris because it is a good companion piece to the first film. The first movie is Tommy's story, while the second film is Chuckie's story. Rugrats in Paris is larger in scale compared to the first, and I love that about this film. This movie is action-packed and has more of a story than the first film, which is why I prefer it to the first. That's not to say Rugrats the movie is bad, because it isn't. The first is still a very enjoyable film that was successful enough to warrant other kids' cartoons getting their own movies. There's nothing wrong with a sequel being better than the first. Rugrats in Paris definitely fits that category. It definitely topped the original. Anyway, with a solid sequel released, I grew curious about what Nickelodeon and Class Geek Supo had planned next.
Hi, Chuckie. I'm Nigel Strawberry, wild animal expert. And because I'm an expert, I say, everybody into the truck!
Pretended to be Nigel Strawberry again, Tommy.
Yeah, he's my hero. But when I grow up, I want to be just like him.
Pickles, yeah, no, Nigel Strawberry. You're not even a Nigel Raspberry. You're never gonna have real adventures. You're just a backyard baby with a diaper full of dreams.
So, how did Nick and the team at Class Geek Supo decide to cap off the Rugrats movie trilogy? With a crossover, of course. Rugrats Go Wild is the final theatrical film in the franchise. It is also the second film to feature the Wild Thornberrys. I remember this film being like an event as a kid. It was just such a treat to see two shows on the same network cross paths, and in a feature film. Rugrats Go Wild was the second Nicktoons crossover ever. Prior to this, Rugrats crossed over with Ah Real Monsters for an episode. This was also 1 year before the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which came out in 2004. Anyway, I already talked about two films, and since this is a crossover film, I figured I'd get someone else to talk about it. Take it away, Kiwingly.
Oh shit, I'm in a ShadeX video? Damn, bro, it's like a dream come true. Nah, fuck that, I can't just steal LBM's intro for collab work. Fuck it. Ooga booga niggas, it's your boy Kiwingly, or you can just call me Kiwi, and today I'm on ShadeX's channel to tell you about a little something. So I'ma just imagine how Shade worked up to asking me to get on this video. So I remember one day I was in a call with some people. One of those people were Shade, and he was like, I'm doing this video on all the Rugrats movies. And I think it might have been LBM or Rally or someone that said oh, Kiwi, you hear that? I was like, I mean, maybe. And then Shade was like, ah! And then 2 weeks later, I got a DM and here I am. Whatever, semantics and shit, blah, blah, and all that. But from what I know, I'm covering Rugrats Go Wild, which happens to be my favorite movie of the three. Go Wild is the third of the three movies that came out in a 5-year period, and on Ja himself, on June 13th, 2003, Viacom had a fucking hit. Now, I promised Shade that I wasn't going to take a long while going over this movie, and all because if some of y'all viewers don't know me, hi, I'm the Birdman who considers Rugrats and subsequently All Grown Up to be the best shows ever to be created. And these movies, son, did not fall far from the tree, let me tell you. Because you get 20 seconds into this movie and you're reminded, hold on, why does this look like a 2D animated Disney movie? And then you ask yourself, wait, why does this look better than a 2D animated Disney movie? And then you ask yourself, when was there ever a good 2D Disney animated movie? Oh wait, that's just me? Damn, y'all don't like that? Too bad. Take a look at my letterbox, nigga, and start crying. Anyways, like I said, that fucking animation though, holy fucking shit, is so fucking good. Everything is so fucking colorful and everything moves so fucking smooth, and I'm over here if only actual Rugrats had this type of animation. But I get it, it costs more, whatever, fuck me in my ass. Anyways, have y'all actually seen this movie? First off, the movie starts off with this cinematic scene of Tommy and the babies and this rainforest cosplaying as Nigel Thornberry, because he's in this movie and is canonized in the Rugrats universe, and also means that Nigel Thornberry is an old head by the time All Grown Up starts. Anyways, the rainforest thing is a foreshadowing for what's to come, blah, blah. And then the fucking freeze frame, right when they think they're about to get eaten by the tiger, leopard, whatever, but it turns out to be Angelica's cat, and then the fucking shit 360 degree turns at an angle and it looks so fucking good. How they did that, that shit don't happen often in fucking 2003. These niggas spent all their budget on one shot right here. Guaranteed that shot took like at least 2 months to do and perfect. Now, let's move on with something I found to be fucking annoying. You know, if you know me, I can't just watch something and not find something I hate. Come on now, son. Anyways, let's talk about Stu right now. Stu was fucking smoking the loudest, fattest, and fucking most powerful pack anyone has ever smoked before, with letting these niggas get their hopes up. I can imagine Stu one day was like, oh man, I just booked all of us an expense-free tour of the islands in the greatest boat imaginable. And Dee Dee was like, holy shit, are you talking about the fucking Lipschitz cruise ship? And Stu had to look Dee Dee right in the fucking eye and say yes, knowing damn well that he had the biggest cap on known to man. I'm surprised Dee Dee couldn't see that big old Yankee brim on Stu's head when he said that. Anyways, back to Stu on Demon Time. He let these niggas probably for months purchase packages and treatments and activities on this cruise to not only waste their time, but also waste their fucking money. And then finally, when the time comes to board the cruise ship, Stu drops on these niggas, nah, you thought we were getting on that huge luxury cruise line ship? Nah, bitch, you get to hop on this rinky-dink fucking tugboat and go on a set sail for a couple weeks. Fucking absolute degenerate. Like, I would have shot this nigga right there and then. Like, how absolutely evil can you be to let niggas get their hopes up? And it's not only just your immediate family, it's like all your extended family and friends too. Like, Stu must have been listening to too much Youngboy on God, because he was not on EST, CST, MST, or PST. He was on DST, Demon Standard Time. Anyways, right, they hesitantly get on the boat. Everybody's pissed off at Stu, and all of a sudden Stu starts to feel bad. Like, he didn't cause all this shit himself. Like, and a piece of plot that I picked up is that, like, this is Chaz, Chucky's father, and Kira's, Kimmy's mom's honeymoon, like after fucking the Paris movie. Like, this was supposed to be a good, and it was supposed to be a great experience, relaxing, and Stu, he doesn't give a single fuck. He just let their shit get rocked. Anyways, fucking Hurricane Katrina comes in and fucks their ship up. And, like, remind you, there are babies around that can't swim. Like, the fucking boat gets hit with a 40-foot wave. Like, those little sperm units can't hold their breath yet, Stu. What are you doing, Stu? Anyways, blah blah, they end up drifting off to a so-called deserted island. Everyone freaks out and rightfully blames Stu. Blah blah, Tommy starts to feel bad for his father, and then I think we have our first musical number. Tommy was like, let's go find Nigel Thornberry, because he obviously is on the same island because of plot. And Angelica tries to scare the babies into turning them into, like, her fucking slaves or something. Like, it's just the generic Angelica not having any remorse and wanting to be the little fucking fuck me, bro. And, like, Angelica is like, guys, this rainforest is, like, real. There are scary things, so I'll protect you, wink wink. I don't actually fucking care about any of you. I'm only here to gain something for myself, is actually what Angelica said. Anyways, the babies ignore Angelica, which actually for once was stupid, because even though Angelica was, like, fucking capping her ass off with acting she's like the princess of the island all of a sudden, she's fucking right about there being dangerous fucking critters in this jungle that makes up the middle of the island. Anyways, yeah, Angelica goes off because she doesn't care either, but just to try and prove that she's a princess, I guess. I don't know, plot gets kind of fucking wonky here, and she audibly tells Spike, the dog, by the way, to take care of the babies while she is fucking off doing whatever. All while this is happening, fucking the Wild Thornberries are on the opposite side of the island, living it up in this RV that's the akin of fucking Trump Hotel. Anyways, fucking Eliza and Debbie are like, man, like, y'all niggas are always just out doing random shit and you call it a vacation. Like, can we do something normal for once? And Nigel and Marianne are like, but we gotta get this fucking leopard for the show because we are sheep. And fucking leave them with Donnie and Darwin. For niggas like me that didn't watch the Wild Thornberries, it's like, imagine Nigel, who's the father, is like fucking Steve Irwin before he died. Marianne, the mother, is basically Nigel's cameraman, or I guess woman in this situation, and they have like a TV show type deal, and they go and explore and hunt animals. And we ain't talking like hunting like shooting bitches, pedo. We're talking like hunting and observing and interacting with animals. Anyways, they have 2 biological children. Debbie, who is the oldest, who is a teenager who doesn't give a shit about anything. She basically acts like a female character from Mr. Meaty. Then the youngest of the 2 is Eliza. Eliza got like her powers from when she rescued a shaman masquerading as a trapped warthog. And her powers, you ask about? She can literally talk to any animal, and like Debbie is the only one that can know, because I don't know. Then there are 2 other characters. Donnie is like this fucking feral dog, not really a dog, but actually just a little boy that can't speak a lick of English. His story is kind of sad, but who the fuck cares? And then the last main character is Darwin, who's the Thornberry's pet chimpanzee. And obviously he hangs out with Eliza a lot because she can actually talk to him. Okay, moving on. Fuck me. Anyways, Eliza is like, okay, I'm gonna go look for the leopard. And yeah, and Debbie's like, okay, whatever. And Donnie runs off and does shit. And Darwin wants to stay at camp, but then gets harassed, I guess, by Debbie to paint her nails. And then Angelica shows up somehow. Debbie is stupid enough to think that a fair, white-skinned 4-year-old was the island's actual princess, also talking English, and then fucking convinces Debbie to try and teach her how to be more bossy, because I guess that's what Angelica wants, to be a bossy, body-built bitch like her mom. Anyways, we're not gonna do plot anymore. I'm just gonna go over the rest of the shit I liked at this point, because it's starting to get too long. The baby's walking through the rainforest while Tommy is pushing Dill, and it's just like interacting with everything. It's really fucking cool. It's written really well and it looks amazing. Eliza meets up with Spike somehow, and Spike is voiced by fucking Bruce Willis. Yeah, that one nigga from Unbreakable and that cameo in Split, and then Glass, which is one of the best trilogies ever in cinema history. Watch all 3 movies now. Eliza and Darwin and Spike find the leopard that her mom and dad are looking for, and Spike just fucking roasts the fuck out of the leopard. Chuckie gets lost from the group in this really immersive time period in the movie, and fucking, I don't know timing with Rugrats, but Chuckie's fucking out of diapers. Let's go. My little nigga's a big nigga now. Whole reason we see this is because Chuckie gets like muddy and dirty and decides to wash himself off in like this waterfall. All of a sudden Donnie shows up and fucks with Chuckie, like spooking him and taking his clothes and his glasses, giving him a wedgie. Like, what the fuck did Chuckie do to you, Donnie? Like, what the fuck? Why you gotta be a dick, bro? Past that, the babies find Nigel Thornberry. A coconut drops on his head and his mind regresses for the rest of the movie. Probably the worst part of the movie, but this epic chase scene happens with them and the leopard that fucking finds them at the bottom of like a geyser or whatever the fuck they're called. Debbie and Angelica crash the RV in the water, and then Angelica steals a fucking submarine out of the bottom of the RV and then fucking goes to look for the babies, I guess. She finds the babies, they get in. Nigel finally gets his mind back, and yeah, not gonna spoil the ending, but it's really fucking chaotic and actually really sad in the grand scheme of things. To make a long sequence short, the babies die. Just kidding, this is the Rugrats. No one dies. Except for Chaz's wife! Whoa! Anyways, like, obviously, everything works out, and great movie. 10 out of 10, way better than the other 2 movies. I don't care what Shade said, this movie is the best. So watch this one first, and then watch the rest, and then watch all the rest of the Rugrats, and then watch All Grown Up, and then you will be enlightened like me. And who doesn't want to be like me? I mean, come on. I'm a fucking bird. Thanks to Shade for having me on. Subscribe to Down Bad Boys, a group channel I help run with other people that are more well known than me. And I'm out of here. Mwah.
Thanks, Kiwingly. Anyway, I am sure everyone watching wants to hear my opinion on Go Wild. Since Kiwingly covered most of the film, I'll keep this quick. While making this video, I was worried the third Rugrats film would be the weakest one. Don't get me wrong, I had fond memories watching it in theaters, but overall I wasn't sure if it would hold up or not. Thankfully, this film does hold up extremely well. It may not have the emotional moments the first 2 Rugrats films have, but honestly, this film doesn't need them. After 2 movies with deep themes, I am perfectly fine with a final film that is just pure fun. This film does a ton of interesting things that weren't done in the original 2 films. First, there's a crossover element. It was cool seeing the Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys characters interact with each other. But besides that, giving Susie Carmichael a larger role in a Rugrats film besides a small cameo at the start was a great idea. She appears in the first 2 films very briefly, but in this film she gets to hang out with the babies and Angelica, which is a nice change of pace. Also, Bruce Willis does a great job playing Spike. Spike has such a great story in this film, and having watched the first film where he saved the babies from the wolf prior, I gained a lot more respect for the character. Having him talk to Eliza was a genius idea. I also found the musical numbers in this film to be enjoyable. While I prefer In Paris for nostalgia reasons, I still really like this threequel. While I do like the dark tone of the first Rugrats film, I'd argue this film is better, as it is a lot more cinematic. Not a lot happens in the first film, but a lot more happens in Go Wild. It's much more larger in scale. Anyway, overall, Go Wild is definitely a strong end to the Rugrats movie trilogy. Do not skip this movie at all. It's great. In conclusion, Rugrats is a franchise I loved growing up, and all 3 of these movies will always hold a special place in my heart. Rugrats is still relevant today, as there recently was a comic series that came out a few years back, and a CGI reboot that was released this year. The Rugrats reboot has the babies as the original voice cast back, but it's clearly an alternate timeline. The new Rugrats show is a reboot taking place in the modern day. There are now cell phones, and Stu is a gamer in the show now. Also, Betty is a lesbian now, which I'm totally cool with, since I feel like that was the intention all along with the original show. But Howard, he got Thanos snapped out of existence, apparently. What I find the most interesting about this new show is that it does not have Dill or Kimmy, 2 characters that were introduced in the first 2 movies. I'm really curious if these 2 characters will be back in the reboot in the future. Will the Rugrats go back to Paris? I wonder if that'll happen. However, Dill better talk this time if he is added back. Not having him talk was a huge missed opportunity. After the first Rugrats movie, Dill didn't do anything notable, so if the reboot wants to do something new, make Dill talk. What I loved about the first 2 Rugrats movies were that they had a big impact on the original show. With the introduction of Dill and Kimmy, it was clear that these films were not an afterthought, as the changes in the movies carried over to the show. While I haven't seen a lot of the Rugrats reboot, I am glad the franchise is still relevant today. I am glad the show is back in some form, as the original plan was to make a CGI live-action hybrid Rugrats film, which sounded like a terrible idea. That would have been really weird. It was gonna have CGI babies and live-action humans. That would have been really creepy. But yeah, the Rugrats movie trilogy, surprisingly enough, is solid. The films have really good continuity, and each are great standalone adventures. It really is surprising that the iconic Yellow Sponge only has 1 great film, a serviceable sequel, and 1 very mediocre film. Meanwhile, Rugrats, the franchise Nick got rich off of before SpongeBob, had a perfect trilogy of films. Yeah, I'll say it, this trilogy is perfect. I mean, the movies clearly have flaws, but a ton of care was clearly put into them. Now that I think of it, the original Rugrats series went in the best direction any Nickelodeon franchise could go in. Rugrats got a sequel series in the form of All Grown Up, which showed the babies as teenagers. Meanwhile, the SpongeBob franchise went in the opposite direction with Camp Coral. Am I saying that Rugrats is better than SpongeBob? Not necessarily, but the franchise was handled way better than SpongeBob from a creative standpoint. Rugrats as a franchise is really good, but my only gripe is that they should have gave Dill more character before All Grown Up. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Before I get started on each individual film, let me just explain what the Rugrats films mean to me. All 2 Rugrats movies left a big impact on me growing up, as they're actually what introduced me to the franchise. The first Rugrats film was definitely interesting to say the least. I watched it a lot as a kid, and could probably still to this day quote that one song that the babies were singing in the hospital. Word for word, bar for bar. But as I got older, I realized that it's really not great. It's pretty boring, and the plot is very generic. The movie didn't really feel like a Rugrats movie either. It was basically Pickles' family first, everyone else second. And yeah, there are plenty of episodes like that, but that kind of format isn't really fit for a movie in my opinion. It's the same problem I have with the first SpongeBob film. Plus, I always found it weird how the movie both begins and ends with Chuckie talking to the audience, because he really didn't do anything in it. It was very much so a Tommy movie. Speaking of Tommy, I still haven't forgiven the writers for turning Tommy into a murderer. Totally unacceptable. Rugrats in Paris on the other hand is perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, because Spider-Man 2 is still the only perfect film in existence, but it's still really good, and captures that fun Rugrats energy that we all know and love. This was another movie I watched often. I even kept the DVD in my backpack at school. I then got beat up for it later. Anyway, Chuckie getting the mom is still I think the happiest I've ever been for a character in a show or movie ever, especially when you go back and watch the Mother's Day special. To this day, that movie remains one of my favorite animated films of all time. If I want a non-stop fun movie to watch, I'm definitely choosing Rugrats in Paris. And, well, that's it. There was no third Rugrats movie. At all. Thanks for having me on your channel Shade. See you next Tuesday when we go golfing with Zigzag and Black Boy.
Okay, now the video is done, but I have a ton of people to thank. First, I'd like to thank the collaborators, Kiwingly and Stalgia, for both agreeing to be in this video. I'd also like to thank Team Creed for Life for editing Kiwingly's segment for this video. I'd also like to thank Dylan for this cool set background. Finally, I'd like to thank Ramen for making the thumbnail and the title card intro for this video, and for commissioning Dylan to make me this cool set background. All of these swag individuals will be linked in the description as they were a big help in making this video awesome. This has been ShadeX, and I hope you all feel nothing but good vibes.
You act like baby Hitler was he only became evil as an adult. Like as a child, he was quite. His parents were terrible.